All right. Rick, I want to thank you for joining us on our seventh episode of Winning with Data. For those of you who are watching this interview, we have Ric Blanchard, who is the president of Shenango Valley and also directly involved with Grove City Midget football. So, Rick, thanks for joining us today and chat with us.
Not a problem. Thank you.
Yeah. So, I mean, before we kind of get into a lot of the details here, just tell us a little bit about yourself. How long have you been involved with the Shenango Valley Midget Football Club and Grove City specifically?
Well, I've been involved with the Grove City Midget Football Club for 15 years, and the president of the Shenango Valley for 11 years. We've been in the league for 15 years, so I've been involved with the league, but as a president for the last 11.
Now, football is in your blood, huh? Did you play football growing up? And did you play
No,
at
I
the
did
youth
not.
level?
I wrestled growing up. I didn't play football.
Okay. Okay. So, what made you want to get involved with this?
I have 4 daughters who wanted somewhere to cheer.
Ah, very cool. Very cool. That's awesome. So obviously, getting involved with youth football leagues and organizations, how important is it for you to always be looking at new ways to keep players safe?
That's what we're all about. If you got to get rid of the old school mentality of just hitting all day, every day. If you can't keep the game safe for the kids, then you're not going to have kids to play the game.
Right.
So if you're not looking for new ways to eliminate the old ways, you're just recycling yourself. You always got to look for something new, something different.
Yeah, and so maybe just talk about some of the things that um, you've implemented over the years. You guys are obviously very active within USA Football. What are some of the things that are a part of this organization that really kind of helps you guys take the next level to player safety?
Well, I mean, like you just mentioned, we've been doing the USA football for I've been doing it since 2011. The Grove City Midgets have been doing it since 2016 with all the coaches. The league passed the rules, so league wide they've instituted it since 2017. I send my coaches to any coaches clinic that we can. We're in pretty good with the high school coaches. They help us prepare for the season. They give us pointers. Some of the coaches that were on my staff are now on the high school staff. The 2 local colleges, Slippery Rock and Grove City, they've held clinics for us and they share ideas with my coaches. We're just anybody that wants to talk, we'll listen.
That's awesome. That's a great mentality. And it sounds like you guys have built quite the community around you guys, which is obviously really important as well when you're building such a successful organization like you've done. So, congrats on all of that. I know that takes a lot of work and a lot of effort and takes a lot of time. But, when you're motivated by creating safe environments, right?
Yep.
It's not a hassle. It's something that's, enjoyable to do. Many people aren't very familiar with this idea of head impact monitoring. When you were first introduced to athlete intelligence and this idea of, head impact monitoring, what were your initial thoughts and why was it so important for you to implement it?
Well, concussions have been basically killing football for years. And if we can use the head impact monitoring as another way to prevent concussions, or I don't know, your system just seemed really good, especially at the youth level when kids are just starting out. The data that it collects is amazing. And once you interpret it, you can see based on the timeline of what you're doing during practice at this time. Maybe this drill here isn't good because there's a lot of contact with the head in it. Let's find another drill that's just as effective that could possibly have less contact. You're reducing the number of contacts is going to obviously reduce your concussion potential. But I think just the data you can collect in it, the more data you have, the smarter you are. The smarter you are, the better a coach you might be.
Yeah, spot on. Are there specific aspects of the athlete intelligence system that you use like most frequently or that have been most helpful?
Um, I guess when you can get the model, you can rotate it to see where the contacts are occurring and which ones are the higher impact. And like I said, I like that you can basically tell what time that they're occurring. And when you have your lesson plan, what drill are we doing at this time? And is it this kid specific? Is he playing a certain position on the field which may incur more? Well, let's switch him out, put another kid in, and see if the contacts are the same for both kids. Then maybe we need to coach that position differently, just based on the data that we're given as to where and how hard the contacts are.
Yeah. And so, like, is that what you kind of see most frequently? And you look at most frequently as like when you're running certain drills, as like, hey, where are we seeing spikes? Is it a particular player? Is it a particular position?
Yep.
Is that kind of where you hone in the most?
Yeah, because when we look at them,
workload?
we bring them all up on the screen and see who's got the higher numbers and what position are they playing, what are they doing at that time. Maybe they're just their technique's off a little bit, and we could adjust that. So we if we run the same drill and run a different technique, are the contacts low or the contacts still high? Then maybe it's just that player. Maybe we need to find a more suitable position for him to get out of that contact.
Yeah, no, for sure. Between the three main data points that we really focus on, right? So thinking about like crown of head contact, head impact workloads, and then just the severity of hits. Out of the three of those, is there one more in particular that you pay the closest attention to, or would you say like, hey, all three of those are things that we look at in every report, when we use the system?
Well, the first one we look at is severity, and we've rarely had any that are above our threshold. So it's one thing we can immediately just push off to the side, and then we look at the number of contacts, who's hitting the most, specifically what position are they playing, and then we look at where the contacts are, in relation to what they were doing at that specific point in time. Like, yeah, I'm a big, I guess, naughty fan of when the kids drop their helmets. Well, that registers an impact. You know what? If every kid has a crown of your helmet impact at 6:05, then I know every kid dropped their helmet. And to me, helmets are the thing that protects your head. That is the one thing you got a baby as a player. So when you're mistreating your helmet, it offends me and I get upset. But that's why we do all the things that we do, is to protect your head. And if you're gonna kick your helmet around, then why are you even putting it on?
Right, right. Well, and then those are also the lessons that we get to teach these young kids about taking care of things, right? This is part of the lessons that hopefully kids can garner from playing football that they can also use off the field, right? Like take care of your stuff. What has been some of the more significant improvements that you guys have seen as an organization since using the athlete intelligence system? Have you seen concussions go down? Have you seen, head impact counts go down? What sorts of things are you seeing as a result of using the athlete intelligence system?
All of the above. We're typically averaging 1 or 2 concussions a year, even with you're doing the USA football stuff. And then once we got with the athlete intelligence and just being able to teach the kids different techniques and show them that, hey, you're still getting your head in the way on this particular play or this particular blocking scheme. Try it this way, not that way. We've had 1 concussion in the last 2 years. As we look at the number of impacts from the first week of practice to the last game, it's not a drastic decline, but it's a steady decline. So there's steady improvement all season long. Just
Which is what we want to see, right? I always tell people
yep,
you can't manage what you don't measure. So, to be able to know where we're at in the beginning of the season versus where we end up at the end of the season and to see that decline, and that's a huge win, right?
yep.
So that's awesome that you guys are using that. Um, Tell me a little bit about just the dynamic of the analytics itself. Is this something where like you're looking at different reports and then you're kind of passing information on to the other coaches, or like are coaches motivated to kind of go in and look at different things?
Um, some coaches are more motivated than others. Uh, but we take the data and we share it with everybody, and I kind of not force them, or you kind of guide them in the right direction of, hey, maybe you ought to look at this kid, maybe you ought to look at this kid. Their impacts are more than anybody else. What are they doing differently compared to, the player right beside them, or the player right behind them? And you just guide them in the right direction to coaching the kids the right stuff.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Can you think of maybe specific instances where the system was able to identify like some of these potential issues that you otherwise like wouldn't have been able to see?
We had and it's funny, as the guy we were talking about earlier, his twin boys, and the biggest contacts we had all year were when the two boys were going against each other in practice. So you got to separate them two because they're going to knock each other out.
Yeah, no, that's yeah, you gotta separate the siblings. Um, what feedback or advice would you share with other programs that either like are not aware of head impact monitoring systems or that are like currently exploring the technology? I mean, you've used it for 2 years. What is something that you'd want to tell them as they're kind of like thinking about looking into it, or even using it for their programs?
You got to at least look into it. Whether you choose it or not, you got to check it out. It, the more you know, the more you learn, the better you can present to your program, you can present to your parents that you're trying all that you can do to make the game as safe as possible for your kids and the community. And to me, that was a selling point for us, is we're trying everything we can to make the game better. And like at the upper levels, you know, if you get the Q plus with the real time monitoring, that's definitely beneficial for the high school level, maybe junior high. But at our level, the Q sensors sports that we have, it's perfect. We don't have the collisions that they do, but we still have collisions. So if we teach them the right stuff now, when they get to the other levels, it's just be better for them too.
Yeah. Do you feel that the athlete intelligence system has been like easy to use and just manage for your program?
It seems to be. I mean, I've never tried any other one, but just the fact that I can plug them in, connect them to my phone or connect them to my computer, and have all that data within a few minutes. I mean, it doesn't take that long to do it. Is very beneficial, that I'm not wasting hours just trying to sort through stuff.
Yeah, 100%. That would be terrible. What feedback, if any, do you feel like you're getting from parents? Are they aware that you guys are using this? Are you seeing um, participation rates increase because you're using it? Are they supportive of it? Tell me a little bit about that dynamic.
Most of the parents are just happy we're doing something other than just maybe buying a better helmet. Well, with the training that we have the coaches go through, and the data that we can get from the sensors, they're glad that we're trying to do something, and they feel safe letting their kids play for us. Um,
Yeah.
we're just trying whatever we can to make the game better for them.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you know, you said something a little bit earlier that really stuck with me about just like, um, you know, it doesn't cost anything to just explore the technology, to see what's out there, to always looking at like what's evolving, right? And to hear how much on the forefront and even cutting edge that you guys are of always looking at what's the next best thing that we can do. What how do we better protect our players? How do we make our coaches better? How do we make our players better? How do we make the environment safer? I just think that's a theme and something that all programs should be doing. So hats off to you guys for having just that mentality because you know sometimes programs just try to figure out how do we get through the season.
Yeah.
So that's a really good outlook that you guys have. Um, is there anything else that you want to add just about your experience in working with athlete intelligence? Was it, a comfortable process before implementing the technology, right? Like, did you feel like, you were able to learn a lot about what it was, how it worked, and how it was going to help? Um, just and then just using the system, is there anything that like, I haven't asked you about that you kind of just want to share in regards to the system overall?
You guys have been really good. Whether I get a hold of you or I get a hold of Aaron, I get a response usually within an hour. You're very proactive in making sure my stuff's right, and I appreciate that. Um, but I've never had any qualms about working with you guys. Like I said, you're easy to get a hold of, which I like. And as soon as I ask a question, I typically have an answer within an hour.
That's
Um,
yeah.
the stuff works. It seems to work the way it's supposed to. We're getting the data that we want. We're just trying to apply what we learn and make ourselves better.
Yeah, no, and that's what's key, right? Is how do we keep getting better? I really appreciate you joining us again on this Winning with Data interview and just kind of sharing your experience and hopefully others out there will kind of look at how you all have been such a leader in your community and looking at new ways of keeping players safe. So, Rick, I want to thank you for taking the time and chatting with us, sharing your story, sharing more about your program. We look forward to working with you guys again going into this third year, and it's been a blast. And again, thanks for being a part of the Athlete Intelligence team.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. You guys are doing a good job.